Okay, hi everybody, we're back again. And today we are going to revise the previous lesson by solving the questions and activities in the book. So let's start with this page 454. Page 454, okay, page 454, okay guys. So this is the page 454. Okay, let me zoom in the page to see well what we will answer exactly. So we have to answer this question in case what to understand the previous lesson. Okay guys, which is what the radiation and conduction also as well. So today we will start talking about what convection and radiation. Here in this page they revising with you the types of energy that move from object to another by what some examples that it's given here in this page. So I will start this revising or summarize by what exactly a conversation between two students, Rebecca and Abdullah. So let's start now guys. Okay, let's solve the first question now. Okay, oh, how did my cell phone get so hot? Okay guys, she wonder why her cell phone is too hot, because what exactly? And then Abdullah answer her question by what? By giving here a physical answers like what? Or physical the physical properties of heat by what answering this question. So well, there are what exactly ways that heat cold. So what we can write here guys, there are what exactly, how many ways we have to heat the cold object? How many ways guys? 3 ways. So for that reason I will answer here and write what exactly, there are what 3 ways. Okay, there are what 3 ways. So there are 3 ways, which are what? Conduction, convection, radiation. Okay guys, the 3 ways are conduction, convection and radiation. So have moved into your phone. So there are 3 ways that of heat that moved to your phone. For that reason, sometimes if you use your phone for a long time, you will find your phone is hot. Why guys? Because there are 3 types of energy heat that move to your phone, which are what? Conduction, convection, radiation. Radiation from where? From the waves that coming from the central center to your phone. Okay guys, that's what I mean, from the main center, okay, to the waves that come from the main center or from anywhere, from the heat or from waves resource to your phone. That's what I mean about radiation. Okay, what about the convection and conduction? Now we will learn where we can find the convection of or conduction in the mobile phone. Okay, sorry, I know, but if it had been sitting in the sunlight, I'd know it was heated through. So what we can write here, he said that even if I keep my phone on the sunlight, so I will find it warm or what, hot, but it was in the shade. This is what we mean. She keep it where exactly? The shade is not under the sunlight. Under the sunlight, it's not kept where? Under the sunlight or in the sunlight. No, she keep it where? In the shade. So for that reason, there is a reason why the girl, even if she keep her cell phone on the table, for example, or in a cold place, not in the sunlight, not in the sunlight, sometime in a cold place, why it's if you touch it, you will find it what? You will find it hot. Because why guys? Because the radiation. Okay guys, because what? The radiation that coming from outside, and your phone starting to what? Your phone starting to what? To absorb it or to take it and store it inside the phone itself. This is the radiation. So your phone, it's worked by what? By radiation guys, by the waves. There is waves. Okay guys, okay, let's go now to The next one, okay, here, well, there is also convection. So yes, there is also convection. Abdullah said that there is what? Convection also, because it's not related also to radiation but also convection, because the phone also used the convection energy. You will see how. So yeah, but that's only happen within what exactly? What we have to write here, guys? Did you remember convection happened, but with what exactly? Convection happened, guys, I told you many times, it's happened with liquids. This is the first one. And for gases. Okay, but what about my phone is solid? How come? How convection? How convection happen with the phone which is solid? You told us, mister, the convection happen only with with particles of gas and water. But what about the solid? Abdullah answered the question by what? Then it must have been the third way. There is a third way, which is what exactly, guys? Because the conduction, did you remember the heat is travel by what also? Conduction, because there are two objects that are in touching. Conduction, okay, guys? So because there is conduction. Okay, let's go and we will see why it's conduction. But that's only happen when two things are what? Conduction, two things are what? Touching. Okay, guys, let me answer it here. Why it's not written well? Okay, I will write it here. Because there are two objects touching. Okay, touching. There are two objects touching. This is what I mean. Okay, guys. So the first one here, 3. Okay, and the second one is radiation. The third one is liquids, and the fourth one is gases. Okay, and the fifth one is conduction. Okay, and what about number 6 now, guys? Number 6, we write what exactly? Touching, because there are two objects in touching. She wonder the mobile phone how happened like this. There is what? It must have been the third way is what? Conduction. But that's only happen when two things are what? Touching each other. My phone was sitting by itself. So what does mean of that, guys? So it's mean my phone worked by itself without touching or without a wire or something like this. For what will happen here? Abdullah's asking where? On the top of my laptop. I keep my phone on the top of my laptop. So Abdullah said, so in that case, heat travel into your phone through what? Who could answer now, guys? Try to remember. Okay, guys, now you should think well. Heat travel because what, guys? Through what exactly? Conduction here also. Here also conduction, because what happened exactly? See, I will tell you something. Here, because she keep her smartphone or the cell phone where exactly? On the laptop. So there is touching between two objects, the cell phone itself and the laptop. So what will happen? The heat will what? Will move. Okay, or will travel. The heat travel into your phone through what? The heat travel from the laptop to your phone by what? By the conduction. Okay, guys, that's what I mean. So because she keep her smartphone on the laptop, for that reason the heat will travel from the laptop, which is working yet, to her smartphone or to the cell phone here. So for that reason there is a conduction between the laptop and the smartphone. This is what I mean. There is a conduction between them, so the heat will travel by what? By touching. Okay guys, so we write here, for that reason we write here what? Conduction. Let's go now to number 8. Yes, sorry. Okay. Number 8. Really, how does it do it that? How does it do that? Abdullah, heats move from warm object to what exactly, guys? Here the heat travel from warm object to what? To the cold one. To the cool one. Okay guys, to the cool one. So the heat will travel from warm object to cool one. So your laptop was probably much warmer than your cell phone. For that reason the heat travel from the warmer object to the colder object. For that reason you find it what? Hot. Okay, maybe I'll leave it on my wooden disk from now on. Okay guys, so for that reason she decided what? To keep her smartphone where exactly? On the disk or in a cold surface, in case what? In case to avoid the conduction heat. Okay guys, so she solved the problem by what? By keeping her smartphone on the cell phone where exactly? In on the cold surface, like what? Like the disk. I think we understand now the page here. Now we should go to the next page now, page 455. Now you have to solve me this definitions or scientific terms in case to understand them. Okay guys, so here, how heat moves from one end of a solid to another. Okay guys, by what exactly? From one solid to another, guys. Heat move from one solid to another by what? Try to reorder the letters here. So we will write here what exactly, guys. I will write the answer here. I will write it here. So the correct answer here, guys, is what exactly? Conduction. We should write here what? Conduction. When the heat moves from one object to another, from cooler object to when the heat moves from heat moves from one or warmer object to the cooler one. That's what I mean. Okay, this is the conduction. Okay guys, so we write here exactly what? Conduction. So you have to write what? Conduction here. Try to fill these spaces with what exactly? With this word. Okay, this one. Conduction. Okay, now let's go to the next one. The topic of this lesson is what exactly? Our topic of this lesson, try to reorder these letters. So we will write here what? Heat. Our lesson is what? Talking about what? Heat. Okay, now what heat does during convection and conduction, guys? During convection and conduction, what will happen exactly here? See, try to reorder the letters here. So I will write what? Transfers. Okay guys, it will transfer. Okay, it will transfer from one object to another. In convection and conduction, the heat will travel. Okay guys, transfer. So I will write here what? Transfers. Okay, so I think it's so easy. I think this lesson is so easy, and many of you answer the homework with so many mistakes. For that reason, this is the lesson as a revising, or is as a revision, to understand again the scientific terms of what? Of heat, conduction, convection and radiation. Okay, so we write here anyway, we write here transfer. Sorry. Okay, I will write it here. Transfer. Transfers. You should write also as the last one. Okay, so the last one is what? Transfer. Okay, transfers. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, how heat moves through a liquid. How heat moves through a liquid, guys? Heat through by what exactly? Did you remember when I told you when we boil the water, what will happen, guys, in the particles of water exactly? When you boil the water by using the burner will give what? Radiation. So there is a conduction between the container and the burner. So what will happen to the water inside the container itself? So what will happen to the water? The water particles start to move. Why it's moved? Because what exactly? Because the water particles move because what? Because of convection, guys. So convection is responsible about the medium between two objects, which the medium is the object that absorb, or the matter that absorb the heat from two objects. Okay, so I will write here what? Convection. Convection. Okay, what about now here? Heat moves from this source by convection and radiation. Try to reorder these letters, guys. Did you remember this this one? We explained it in the previous lesson. Did you remember? The heat moved by radiation and convection. Radiation and convection. I told you when you go to the desert or something like a trip, you go outside for camping, to make a camping there. So what will happen there? You starting to what? To make a campfire, right? So heats move from this source by what? Convection and radiation, because the campfire produce a radiation, right? Waves. And these waves starting to what? To heat up the particles of gases that surrounding the campfire. For that reason we call it what? Convection. Okay, guys, so you have to write here what exactly? Campfire. So campfire. Okay, the last one. How heat travels through empty space. How the sunlight travel from the sun itself to the earth. By what exactly, guys? Did you remember? I told you many times that the heat or the waves of the sun travel by what exactly? Radiation. Is a kind of what? That's what I mean. It's a kind of radiation. Okay. Okay, we finished now this one. Okay, so now you have to use the letters in the circles here in case to reorder them and write the scientific term here in this blank. So what we have to write here, so unscramble the letters in the circles to form a word that is related to the lesson here. So if you calculate or collect the letters from the circles here and combine them together and write them here, you will find that the word is what exactly? Temperature. Temperature. Okay, temperature. Okay, let's go to the next page now. Here they're asking you now to draw, okay, a transfer of heat. Okay, you have to draw the transfer of heat as an arrow. Okay, you have to draw an arrow from where exactly? It should be pointed to which one? The arrow should be pointed from where to where exactly? That's what I mean. You have to draw it from the beginning to the end, but from where to where? From which one is the starter point and which one is the end point? So if you want to draw the arrow, you have to start from where the energy move from the warmer object to the cooler one. So which one the warmer and which one the cooler one? The warmer is the glass here, or the cup of the coffee here, and the colder one or the cooler one is what is the cube of the ice. So you have to draw a line or arrow starting from the cup here to the cube of the ice. Okay, you have to draw it because I don't have an ability to draw here. Let me see if I have the ability. Okay, so like this. Then what also? I don't know if I can do it or no. It's not work well. It doesn't working well. I will try again. No. Okay, let me see. No, not here also. What I'm doing here. Again. I will see. We'll lose the page. 456 again. Let's see. I will try to draw the arrow, but I don't know from where exactly. Okay, no problem. So you have to draw the arrow here. Okay guys, so you have to draw the arrow here. Okay, from the hot object to the cool object. Okay, what about this one? The campfire and a person here or a girl here. So the radiation coming from where? From the girl here or from the fire or the campfire? Not sure. From the campfire. So the campfire produces radiation to warm the body of the girl. For that reason I will draw arrow from here to the girl. Okay guys, now what about the particles of water here that is boiling? Okay guys, so we have to draw arrow from where exactly? From the water itself to what? To the handle of the spoon. So from the water itself, from the hot water itself, you have to draw an arrow to where? To the handle here. Okay guys, let's go now to the next question. Okay, they're asking you to give what? Okay, sorry. So they're asking you about the letters here. Exactly, label each part of the drawing as an example of conduction, convection, or radiation. So which one of them is radiation or convection or conduction? Which one of them is what? Which part of this image is conduction or convection and radiation? So let's start with letter A. Letter A is example of what, guys? Conduction or convection or radiation. Try to answer it by yourself before I solve it. This one. See the heat exactly moving from where to where exactly? From the cover to the container. From the container to the cover, sorry. So from the container to the cover, what? Two objects, right? This is the container and this is what? The cover of the container. So they are in touching. Okay guys, so they are touching. So this is what? Conduction. We have to write here what? You have to write here conduction. Okay, what about now the second one here? The second one, number B, is the water. The particles of water are moved. See here the arrow is like a cycle. So cycle motion. Okay, so this one, what exactly? Convection, because the particle that move, liquid or gas, is example of what? Of convection. Okay, what about the fire? The fire itself, what? Produce exactly what, guys? Radiation. So we will write here what, guys? Radiation. Okay. Okay, so radiation, convection, conduction. Okay, let's now go to the next page. But by the way, here I forget to tell you something. By the way, here is not only radiation, by the way, radiation and something else. What is it? The fire produce radiation and what? Radiation and the particles that surround the fire, the particles of gas. Don't forget, the particles of the gas that surround the campfire is example of what? Of convection, because the particles of gas starting to move when the fire here heats up these particles. For that reason, we should write here what exactly, guys? Not only radiation and convection. Because why? Because the fire itself is radiation, but what about the particles of gas that surrounding the fire itself is convection. Okay, guys, this is what I mean. Let's go to the next page now. Here, now, page 457. Okay, 457. Here they're asking you to label each of the following example. So you have to write here the scientific heat term for each image here. So for example, this one is conduction or convection or radiation or both together. You have to identify each one of them. So let's start with the boiling water, hot water added to the bath. See, the boiling water here or the hot water here is example of what? Of convection. Okay, so we have to write here what? Convection. If you want to write convection and conduction is correct also. Why we have to write also conduction? If you want to write conduction, it's correct. Because why? Because there is two objects are touching or that are touching, which is what? The container of the bath and the water, hot water itself. But it's enough to write convection here. What about the space heater here? The space heater is like a campfire, is example of what? Because the space heater, what is the job of the space heater exactly in your room? To do what exactly? To warm your room, right? This device is used to what? To warm your room. Sorry, to warm your room. So for that reason, the heater here itself is what? Is radiation. But what about the particles of air that's surrounding the heater? Is example of convection. So it's what? Is radiation and convection. Radiation and convection. Okay, let's go to the next example. Iron and on decal. What does mean of that, guys? Here sometimes your shirts, when you use the iron to what? To make to what? To make your clothes or to clean your clothes or whatever, to make your clothes flat. That's what I mean. So you use, sometimes these images are made of what exactly, guys? Of plastics or plastic material. So for that reason it will be melted by what? By the heat of the iron here. So for that reason we have to write here what? There is a touching. Okay, there is two objects are touching, which are, so for that reason I will write here what exactly? Conduction. So this one is conduction. Okay, guys, because two objects are touching. Okay, the iron and your shirt. So clothes washer machine or the dryer machine. So this one example of what, guys? So this machine starting to heat up water for what? And boiling the water for what? For washing your clothes. So there are two kinds of heat, which are what? Convection, because the particles of water, the hot particles of water, and what exactly? Conduction, because the water is object and your clothes is another object. There is so touching. For that reason conduction because what? Because guys, there's two objects are touching, which are what exactly? Water and your clothes. What about the another one is what? Convection, because the particles of water is hot, so the particles of water what? Move. Convection. So conduction and convection here. Okay. Sunlight through a window. The sunlight itself is what exactly? Radiation. Only write radiation. You can write radiation and convection because the sunlight also warm your room. But it's enough to write now radiation because I think they asking you only about the sunlight itself. What about this one, guys? When you heat up your sandwich by this one, by the heater of the sandwich. So this one example of what? The sandwich press. So this example of what? Conduction. Okay guys, this is example of conduction because there are two objects touching, okay, which are what? The sandwich and the heater. Okay, so we should write here what, guys? Conduction. Okay, so I think no need or I will solve with you the last one. Okay, no problem, but it's not written in the weekly plan, I think. So what about this one? This example of what, guys? Let's solve it fast, please. So this one, because there is burner and container, so there is what? There are two objects are touching, so this one is what? Example of conduction. What about the boiling water? So there are particles of water that move. For that reason, this one is convection. Okay, I will write here. So conduction and convection. Conduction. Sorry. Conduction and convection. Okay. What about the pizza here? If you want to cook a pizza here, so you will use what exactly? Two kinds of heat exactly, which are the radiation from the fire and what exactly? There's another thing which is the conduction, because the pizza will what? You will keep the pizza exactly where? Inside the oven, so there is touching between the ground or the space of the oven and the pizza. Okay guys, so we have to write here what exactly? Conduction, radiation, and the last one is what, guys? Convection. What about the convection? Because the radiation will hit the particles of air. There is air inside the oven, by the way. So radiation also. Sorry, radiation is written already. Convection. So convection because the particle of air inside the oven. Okay guys. Okay. Let's go. Let's see if we have another example here. Okay, this is so this is example of what, guys? The light is wave, so example of radiation is example of what? Radiation. And the last one here, this boy touching a pizza, so this one is what? Oh no, it's not. They point they label on what? On the particle of gas that coming from the pizza itself. So the particles here, they asking you about the particles of water vapor here. The water vapor is example of what, guys? The water vapor is example of convection, sure, because the water vapor is example of particles that move. The gas, particles of gas that move because the heat. So I will write here convection. Okay guys, so we finished this page. So thank you for listening and goodbye.